Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, happy quadruple witching day. It is Friday, September 17th, after market close. We're going to take our daily look at SoFi. SoFi got witched through the roof today, down 2.65%. Had a near bounce off of that 1502 support zone that we've been talking about for several weeks now, 1506. I do think, listen, even if the Max Payne situation is legit, which it definitely could be, I still think, regardless of that the supply and demand zones have held up incredibly well. Consistent bouncing off of those support areas, consistently finding resistance off of those upper resistance levels, and we saw it again today. So I mean, just an unfortunate day with SoFi. It tried really hard here to retake the VWAP, but just lower high, lower high, lower high, and then tried again and just couldn't muster and just fell apart there toward the end, and a ton of volume today in general. I don't know if Webull will let me drag this over. Probably not. Oh, okay. Quadruple witching magic. 54.72 million in volume today. Average of the 3-month, 19.05. So certainly an uptick in volume. So whatever the witches added to that volume, so it goes. But it was certainly adding selling volume, which is unfortunate to see, and sort of thwarts any progress that we thought that we could be making toward that gap, that we thought that we could be making out of this down trend line on the upside that we had talked about yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about kind of a boring day, kind of a flat day, but we were peaking out, and we were throwing a wick into that gap, and we were sort of peaking a body out the top of that upper trend line. But then today just slammed ourselves right back down into it, and retested that 1502. So 1502 is looking really good to me still. Buyers still seeming to be stepping up and picking up shares at that range. So I'm not as worried about that for the moment, as long as there's no big negative catalyst that comes through. Maybe even, I don't know if like strong macro forces could push that down, probably. But, to me, between that and this trend line, which isn't that far, it's at least not all the way down to 1411, there should be some pretty solid support sitting below. If we add back in the MAs here, we also have the 20 MA sitting right there at 1487, so just below the 1502 zone and in between. So we have like 3 levels of support before we hit that actual next supply and demand zone, which I guess in this case would just be a demand zone at 1411. But the MACD just kind of like doesn't really know what to do. It's just kind of like wavy gravy at the moment. It's, up and down and up and down, and just trying to kind of pick a direction. But it's just sort of, an uncertain moments with SoFi, and the overall market. I don't think it's just SoFi. I think it's more of like a market factor, and like we said, the witches came in today to do whatever deeds they wanted to do, and definitely drove the volume up. 54.7 million in volume, and on the day when we had the reaction to earnings, it was an absolute disaster of a day. That was 59.7 million. So we're only 5 million off of that day, which is pretty incredible. And then, lockup catastrophe. Also, if we talk about that on 629, the volume there, 55.7 million coming out that day. And then, then we started our descent. But, interesting to see the big uptick in volume. Like I said, unfortunate that it's so concretely in the red, but so it goes. For the time being, I'm going to keep this chart intact. We'll probably boop the gap. At the moment, it's been well over a month since that gap formed. And in this case, I'm not sort of willing to just give it forever to fill the gap, because the idea that SoFi will ever be above $17 seems likely to me at some point in the future. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it is doing it in order to fill that gap. It's just going to be because it's growing as a company, and the stock price is reflecting that. So enough with the gap. And for the time being, I'm still waiting to see if 15 can just hold. I don't know if we'll continue to bat ourselves around between 1502 and 1629 forever. But if that's the case, then, so be it. Hopefully the catalyst from the next earnings would at least be positive, and would push us in a direction that we could be looking toward 20, after that catalyst, or at least toward the end of the year, something along those lines. Let me grab my phone here, because there's also some insider info that I wanted to share that I almost just forgot about, from a non-disclosed insider. I wanted to share some information. So hold tight on that for a moment. And first, now that we're done with the charts, that's basically all there is to say about the chart. I mean, it was a rough day. It was a high volume day. Lots of selling, and but we were able to hold some key levels. So there you go. But I did want to talk, before we move into the next phase of the video, about one of my favorite wines. This is true. This is honest. 2016 Dime Red Blend. This is a phenomenal wine. Now, I know this doesn't have maybe the highest ratings, but for my palates, for my taste, whatever that is, it is really, really fantastic. So if you are willing to try a nice red blend, I would definitely recommend this. This is available on Wink, which you see right here. You can just toss this into your URL or just Google it. This is also available through Drizzly. If Drizzly delivers in the area where you are located, I would certainly recommend 2016 Dime Red Blend if you are of age only. Don't even try it if you are underage, of course. And always, drink responsibly, folks. Let's be responsible about the whole thing. Okay, so here's a bit about quadruple witching. I mean, in my experience, it's typically been a lot of nothing. Now I know we had high volume today, but if you look at the markets overall, I mean, this is a pretty flat day, right? There's nothing really phenomenal happening here. We had a dip throughout the first part of the day, and then a little bit of a rise, and then we just kind of dipped back down and rode out the rest of the day flat. Not so dissimilar from many of the days that we've seen prior to today, but within this week. So it just seemed to me like it was more moving with how it's been moving this week than it was doing anything dramatic because of quadruple witching. And I can't remember, honestly, the last time that I saw something wild happen on quadruple witching. I don't know if that's because it's just sort of stock market folklore. I don't know if it's because the like big changes in how the market operates, with retail having access to so much free trading, high volume trading, day trading, just increased availability of information where they can look at information on shorts and squeeze potential and things like this. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it was previously actually much more volatile than we're seeing at the moment. But to me, I've not put much into quadruple witching because I've never seen it do anything really dramatic. So that's my take on the whole situation. But feel free to look it up if you want, and maybe it had some impact on some things. I have no idea. Swaggy. Now, I believe our friend Paul will probably point out if Swaggy's calculations are correct at $15 max pain, but closing very, very close to this today, 1509, one of the closest that we've seen recently. And so I think that felt kind of correct today, to be honest. But we'll see. I am hoping that next week it starts to respect the chart a little bit, because I think there's a lot of potential coming out of here with the MACD, with the increase in volume overall, and with the pushing out of this down trend line and the relative support that's been shown from this uptrend line, but also at 1502 supports, that we could have this like next really strong run to test that 1629 level. I'm really hoping that we can get some sort of unshackledness about SoFi and that we can make a run in that direction. Now, on the data side of things, then we'll quickly flip to insider info. Still sitting with our analyst ratings. As you know, we had that catalyst earlier in the week that sort of got eaten away at a little bit today. Shorts continue to stay out of it. Really good in my opinion, as you know. I did search again on LinkedIn. These are still the only profiles that I find that have this SoFi Bank information. I did click into a few extras just to make sure that it wasn't hidden somewhere. I like Command F. You can see it's copy pasting things. I did Command F for like information, or at least the word formation, and didn't find anything there. So I'll keep searching to find out if they are dropping additional. I don't know if they're. I'm sure they're not intentionally dropping Easter eggs for people to find, but I'll keep trying to find them as best I can. Okay, now I'm going to read this from my phone, so I don't know what we want to stare at. Let's stare at the chart while I read this from my phone. But this was from an insider at SoFi. That's a vague description, but I'll leave it at that. We talked about the founder of Galileo, who had unloaded a bit over 1 million shares, and this person just talks about that a little bit. That those are holdings from the sale of Galileo to SoFi. But of most interest to me was that this person is telling me that employees go back into blackout today and can't sell shares until after the third quarter of 2021 results are posted. So not after the third quarter ends, but until those results are posted. So this would, maybe not be a game changer in any way, shape, or form that insiders or employees can't additionally sell until that date. But to me, I'll take any little bits of non-selling pressure that I can get at this point to try to keep this uptrend intact. Not overall uptrend, but this, relatively recent higher low situation that we have going intact, and trying desperately to get support over that 1629 to see where we could go from there. I'm really ready to refresh this chart, plot some new upward price targets, upward resistance zones to look at, and hopefully some new trend lines to look at in order to guide the trades as we move forward. But we got to get there first. So once we breach that 1629, get support there, I'll gladly get rid of all this white nonsense and all of this 1411 and 1305 stuff for the time being, and look to the upside and just sort of say we have 1629 and we have 1502 if we need it, and let's look up above those things for what's coming next. All right, folks, it's been a long week. I thought long and hard about just making this video over the weekend and putting it out on Sunday, but I kind of didn't want that hanging over my head all weekend as well. It's like a real double-edged sword. So anyway, my voice is shot. I hope you had a good trading week and everything else that you're trading. And as always, I appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next video.